So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and my ongoing paint up of the epic Punic Wars Hannibal collection of figures that Warlords kindly sent me. So I've already done the Numidians, I've done the Libyan infantry on the Carthaginian side, so next I'm going to work on the Celtic warriors. You get, well, I've been sent with the sprues that I was sent effectively enough to do 2 standard regiments of Celtic warriors, because they come as a warband, and so they are 6 elements to a base, which is quite chunky, to be absolutely honest. So 6 bases. So actually no, I've only got enough for 1 here, so because I've got 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, and they're going to be doubled up, so 6 bases is a warband under epic Hail Caesar, which is a lot of figures for just 1 unit, but there you go. Warbands are quite blunt weapons, shall we say. So as I say, you get 6 on these sprues, and they look really neat, really clever. Again, ranked up as you'd expect. They're slightly more dynamic because they've got their sort of spears in the air and swords waving and what have you, but they've still got very big shields along the front, which will make painting them somewhat easier. Also, they're mostly naked, or limited clothing anyway, sort of top half wise. So you can see on the backs here, these guys have, you can just see the muscled skin tone, but that's it. A few of these guys have also got cloaks, but not an awful lot else in terms of you know, kind of clothing that they should wear. They've got helmets and so forth, but really it's going to be the shields that really make them stand out as a Gallic Warband. So you can see I have already undercoated these, and this time I've done it white, mainly because from experience of doing 28 mils, I know that the Guilliman's Flesh contrast paint works best on a white background for doing the skin tones, and because these figures are basically topless, and there's a lot of skin on display, I think it's going to be easier if I use Guilliman's Flesh contrast paint just to build out the colours to start these figures off. So I will pop these off the sprue, and I will do the Guilliman's Flesh, and I'll show you what they look like. Right, so we've done the skin tone using Guilliman's Flesh across all these Gallic figures. You can see with the white background or white undercoat, it comes through really well, I think. Accentuates the muscles and what have you on the figures themselves, and is a really simple, quick way to get the figures painted up. So next up, I'm going to do the hair colour. So I'm going to use Guilliman's Flesh quite extensively through these, because I like the sort of reddy, browny look, which I think works quite well for Celtic figures. And I'll just put another couple of variations in there just to sort of give a little bit of difference to it. So back when they're done. Right, so hair colour's done on all of these. Oh, I've just realised I haven't finished these off. You always do this when you're doing videos. So you notice I've also done all the trousers, or lower halves of the figures with the snake bite brown, and the reason why I'm doing that is when you've painted up the shields, they'll grab the eye, they'll grab the attention, so you won't really notice what's going on in the shadows behind. So rather than trying to get in with individual colour paints, which is probably what I should do, and I would do if they're 28 mils, I'm just going to leave them like that. Likewise on the backs, even with these guys that are showing off quite a lot of bum, there's guys with cloaks next to them, and the eye will naturally be drawn to those rather than to the darker colours, and of course it's also going to have a wash as well. So anyway, I've just noticed I've missed a whole set of trousers here, so I'll do them in a minute. So next up I'm going to do the shields, and I'm going to just basically do them following some of the schemes that you see on the Warlord box art for these figures, and just sort of quarters and halves and just bright garish colours, because that's in keeping with the Celts. So I'll do that, and then finish off the ones I missed, obviously. And also I will go and colour in the helmets on these figures. Now, again, I think a sort of bronzy, goldy colour works really well for these Celts, so that's what we'll do. So anyway, back in a minute. Right, there you go. The ugly phase is complete. Lots of colours, lots of bright colours, mixtures of greens and yellows and reds and blacks and what have you, as you can see here. I've also done the shafts of the guys with spears, just using a, which one it was, one of the browns, I forget which one it was now. So next up I'm going to do the swords and also the spear tips with a plate metal. Once that's dry, I'm going to give the whole thing a complete wash. Oh, you can see I've also done the helmets. I used True Copper from Army Painter. Really like that colour. Does need a bit of a shake up, but then you should shake up your paints well anyway. And also done the bosses with that as well. So yeah, I'll do the weapons and then give it a thorough wash, and we'll come back for the next stage. Right, so washes have been applied, as have spear points and sword blades, etc. And yeah, it's not going to win any paint competitions, but that's not the desire. This is just to get the boots on the table, just to get that in. So next up, I'm going to cheat a bit. I'm going to use some of these Sharpie pens. I find pens, Posher pens and Sharpie pens, a really good way of finishing off on things like this. So what I'm going to do is draw some dots and lines and other diagrams, other sort of shapes on the fronts of the shields, and also on some of the lighter cloaks, just to get a little bit of Gallic flavour into it. So back in a minute. And there you go. You can see, just put a few dots in on that one, a few lines here, just to sort of break it up a bit, a few sort of patterns on the shields, just again to bring it to life a bit. Now, probably what I'm going to do next is, well, not probably, what I'm definitely going to do next, I'm just going to touch up some of the flesh tone. Some of the wash has just washed in too much, so I'm going to get a really fine brush, and I'm just going to just highlight the noses, the chins, any pecs and arms that I can see with a little daub of tanned flesh, just to bring those back out again so they pop again. And I will also get out the copper or bronze, I'm not sure, I'll use one or the other, just to pick out, probably you will use a copper because it's slightly lighter, just to pick out, again, just to bring out those helmets a little bit, and also the shield bosses, because they've dulled down with the wash. So back in a bit. Right, so they are pretty much done. I'm just going to clip these fellas off. You can see I've just touched up a little bit of the skin, the helmets, and other bits and bobs. And they're, you know, as I say, they're not going to win any awards. And the thing about Epic is you need to just churn out the figures so they're ready to play the game. Because when you're looking at these fellas from 3 foot away, you're not going to see the blemishes and the marks and the little missteps you've got, because they're pretty tiny fellas, 13.5 mil, and you're looking at them here really close up. When they're on the table, you're just getting an impression of a unit, and that's what you're looking for. So I'm going to pop these fellas off, put them on the bases, do the bases, and we'll come back and show what they look like en masse, and also discuss how these fellas will play in the rules. Right, so there we are. That's the unit based up, and all it needs now is a varnish once the basic material's dried. As usual, I've used my Vallejo earth texture. This is brown earth. It's a sort of yellowy brown, which I really like as a colour for this. and it's the theme that I'm using across all my Carthaginians and Romans for this period. Now while that's drying, and I'll show you a close-up of all these once it's all varnished, but let's have a look at the stats for these figures and sort of theorise how they'll play. So a Gallic or Celtiberian warband is classed as medium infantry, and as mentioned comes with 6 bases. So this is the standard formation for a standard unit, which is interesting because a normal unit is only going to be 4 bases like that. So the fact this has got the extra rank denotes the fact it's the warband and it has 6 bases. Of course, if you fielded it as a large warband, which would be quite fearsome if I'm honest, would be 8 bases. So yeah, that's going to be quite something. Anyway, so I guess Celtic warriors, Galatian warriors, these sort of things are the definition of one-hit wonders. They have a terrific clash. So on their charge, their first combat phase, a clash of 9 is pretty damn meaty when you compare it to most other troop types. However, they quickly drop down to a 6 on their sustained. So as I say, their charge is the thing that you need to win with these fellas. And to go with that, they have the wild charge option, or wild fighter option, which is a very, very fearsome rule. So once per game, the first time they charge, you can use the wild fighter rule, and that basically allows you to re-roll all the misses you have in that first combat. So imagine these fellas have charged into contact. They get their 9 dice from clash. Chances are they're going to get the vast majority of those as hits if they're needing 3 to hit, and that's the power of these things. Now the weakness is their morale save is only 5+. Mind you, if they're going up against Pelham troops, they're probably going to be saving on 6. They're going to take a lot of losses in their own right, but they do have a stamina of 6. So definitely a one-trick pony. You need to prepare the way. Don't let them take too many casualties on the way in, and just charge and hope that they roll high with all those re-rolls, and they are going to be deadly. Anyway, that's what they look like on the stat line. We'll see how they play out in due course on the table. In the meantime, I'm going to varnish these fellas, and then I'll put them on the turntable and show you what they look like a little bit closer up. Not too close because you don't want to see all the blemishes, but yeah. And there you go. That's them all varnished and largely dry. I think I might need to do a bit of hair cutting on the tufts, just because the bases don't fit quite snugly together, but yeah, it's fine. So yeah, I think that comes out pretty effectively. It's a nice little unit, well, big unit actually. 6 bases is kind of crazy, but they paint up reasonably well. These Warlord epic figures are. It's an impression. You got to get that impression of an effective big unit on the table. You don't want to be starting to paint individually figures like you would a 28mm to the quality that you would try and do for 28mm. It's that look you get in distance. So I'm quite pleased with how this unit came out. Yeah, quite pleased with how this unit came out. It should look good on the table. I'll do probably a couple of warbands, I think, because I've got the box that arrived of the wall of figures. So yeah, looking forward to painting the rest up. So there you go. Hope you found that useful and interesting. If you did, please give it a like, share, subscribe, do all that YouTubey stuff. I'm going to continue my way through the figures that Warlord supplied to me, and also the ones I bought. Just doing these little quick tutorials. Hopefully people find them useful. And if you want to follow those, then please click the subscribe and get notification when these videos go up. And ultimately, and fairly soon, hopefully, I'll be having a few games to show you what the actual gameplay's like. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.